Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 270th ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the MSP studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing great, Cameron. It's great to see you. Your hair is really flowing today.
Oh, thanks.
Looks nice.
Shampooed it last night, so just really. I don't want to mess with it.
Do you have like a master plan for it, or just kind of seeing where it's going to go?
The latter. I'm just kind of feeling it out. There's been a few points in this, hair journey that I'm on where I'm like, I could go back to that and feel pretty good. So probably
you got it trimmed up a little while ago.
Yeah.
Really nice and reshaped.
Trying to encourage more growth out of it. And at some point, probably I'll cut it back to, maybe right now, where it is now, maybe where it was a couple months ago. I'm just enjoying the experimentation of it all.
Looks great.
Thank you. Are you enjoying this time of year with the football, basketball crossover season?
It's incredible. It's like every day, it's like, oh yeah, I got a game to watch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Nothing better.
Imagine if you were an NBA fan.
That would be stressful. I wouldn't be able to do anything.
That'd be too much, yeah. We got basketball and football to talk about. Basketball recruiting. Basketball team's 1-0. Obviously, we got to talk about that Georgia game. And if we can get back on track against Tennessee. Before we do all of that, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a review wherever you listen to us. And, of course, you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Missouri Sports Pod. And we'll start the show with basketball. Today, what's it called? The NIL, not NIL. NLI. They were getting sent
signing
in.
day.
It is signing day for basketball. So we were getting confirmation on this elite recruiting class that Coach Gates and company have been putting together. And they might not be done yet. Jaden Quaintance still out there, cut his list of schools down to 4. Off the top of my head, I believe it's Kentucky, Missouri, Florida, Duke. I don't know.
I can't remember who the fourth is.
I feel like I'm only worried about Kentucky, personally.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that Final Four announcement was him saying that he is no longer considering the G League Ignite team. So he's going to college somewhere, and he has to be there for 2 seasons.
Yeah. He took a visit to Kentucky last weekend, and we're talking about 5-star, basically top 10 player in the class. He took a visit to Kentucky last weekend and didn't commit, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some stuff on Twitter this morning from, I believe, a media member or something like that, somebody related to Kentucky who said that they weren't happy about some of the things they were hearing on Quaintance, and that Missouri had, the momentum was with Missouri, so that definitely bodes well. That it seems like the people we're most worried about don't feel great, and that's only one person's opinion, but that does seem to kind of feel like what the narrative is right now, and but anything can change.
It has felt like everybody's been viewing it as Missouri as the leader for a while now, which is like nice, but also, just sets you up for disappointment. But the good thing is we have already banked commitments from 5 players who have us almost guaranteed into a top 10 recruiting class.
And he has to make his decision pretty soon, right? It's within the next week. He's got to say where he's going.
Yeah.
So we're going to know soon.
And what's weird is some of the stuff I was seeing about him, just like from scouts and stuff, he is considered they were considering one of the more pro-ready players in his class, which is insane when you think about the fact that he is also one of the youngest players in his class.
Yeah.
Because he reclassified from 2025.
Unbelievable ceiling.
Yeah. And the fact that he, and probably some of the stuff he's been hearing from schools regarding NIL is factoring into his decision to not take the G League Ignite route.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it almost kind of, it's like, why would you even do that whenever you can make just as good money? Basically being a semi-pro in college.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously the focus is still on him a little bit, but we've got this solid recruiting class that is going to be impactful regardless. And the basketball team is off to a 1-0 start after beating Arkansas Pine Bluff 101-79. blew them out a little bit there.
Yeah.
At one point, they were up by 30. The starting five in this one was Nick Honor, Sean East, Caleb Grill, Noah Carter, and our guy, JCM.
Zeus.
He only played 10 minutes, though. He started, but only played 10 minutes. But he was effective in those 10 minutes. 4 assists, 1 rebound, 1 block, and a steal.
He's the X factor. They don't want to give too much away.
Honestly,
They had to pull him out.
Honestly, you don't want to put too much on tape with him.
That's true.
You know what you have.
He knows what he is.
Yes, exactly. You're exactly right.
You're playing. You're doing a little Drinkwitz ball there.
Yeah.
Playing the long game.
Yeah. It obviously Arkansas Pine Bluff, not a very good team. They had 2 guys who were really scoring the ball though. Joe French and Kylan Milton combined for 64 of Pine Bluff's 79 points.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like what we saw from Missouri is pretty much exactly what we expected, and it's kind of a continuation of what last season was. It was like, we can score with anybody. We're probably not going to play the greatest defense. Like, we're going to play we're going to play like high risk, high reward defense.
Yeah.
We're not going to rebound that well, and if we're just going to, because of the way we're playing, you're going to have opportunities to make threes, and they did that. But it didn't really matter because we're just going to outscore you. And that was like the blueprint for a lot of Missouri games last year. I have a feeling that will just continue, and that's why the analytics get confused, but that's okay.
Yeah, now the analytics love Missouri's offense because it's incredibly efficient, fast-paced, a lot of possessions, and Monday night was basically perfect offense from Missouri. I mean, you shoot 40% from 3, 70% from 2, 80, I mean, I'm going to round up to 90% from the free throw line with 19 attempts. They actually won the rebounding battle, but against an inferior opponent. 17 assists to 13 turnovers as a team.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big thing. It's just like a lot of assists.
Yeah. Moving the ball well, sharing it well. To talk about some of the individual performances. Sean East with 21 points in just 21 minutes.
He looked like a reinvented version of himself, very confident.
Very confident, knocked down the first 3 of the game. Specifically drove to the basket and scored like baseline once or twice, which was good to see.
Keep doing that.
Nick Honor had 18 points. He attempted 10 threes. He was 4 for 10 from 3.
Do we know how many minutes he played?
A lot. He played, I have it right here, 32 minutes.
Okay. I feel like that's going to even keep going up.
Yeah, and he was like on the floor 6 or 7 times. He did struggle a little bit around the rim, missed a couple layups. They were tough shots, but I feel like he is obviously impacted at the rim by his size. Not a whole lot you can do sometimes. Noah Carter, I thought, maybe a little bit disappointing on offense, only 15 points. It kind of felt like Noah Carter from last year a little bit, where it's just a little bit quiet.
Kind of a quiet 15.
Knocks down a couple shots.
Didn't really need him, though.
True. 15 points on 12 attempts from the field. It's not terrible.
It's like one of these games where everybody kind of feels like dominant in their one-on-one matchup, so it's like, we're going to see a lot of usage from guys that we might not in tighter games.
Caleb Grill, 15 points, 7 rebounds. He looked, just as soon as they ran out there, I thought he looked bigger than I was expecting as a guard.
Maybe it's just a man bun.
Maybe.
Looks taller.
Maybe. Add a few inches there. But, he was coming up with some rebounds, looked aggressive, going to the rim, had a transition dunk that was really nice.
Only shot 1 of 6 from 3 and still scored 15.
Yeah. Got to the free throw line.
I feel like that's actually a good sign that he struggled from what we know he can do. That's like his calling card, but still found other ways to score.
And Missouri as a team shooting 40% with him going 1 for 6.
Yeah.
But I would say, 2 guys here that I left for last that probably impressed me the most. Tamar Bates coming off the bench and giving us 18 points in 24 minutes, 3 for 3 from 3.
Yeah, he looked really good.
He looked just like the superior athlete on the court, even compared to most of the Missouri players.
Had a big dunk.
Huge dunk, and just looked quick, decisive. When he decided to shoot, he went for it. as soon as he got in the game, I noticed they were running offense to try to get him a look from 3.
Yeah.
It took a little while, but once he got it, he nailed it. And then the other guy that I was super impressed with was Aiden Shaw, and he, I feel like, got the most like screen time in a weird way. Like the broadcast focused on him quite a bit, but 7 points, 9 rebounds, 5 blocks, 2 steals in 23 minutes.
I mean this in the most respectful way possible, but Aiden Shaw, you are a freak. Like some of the rebounds he was getting was just like, wow, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah. There was a one possession in particular where he got 2 offensive rebounds off of threes, and we couldn't get the ball in the basket. But.
Like the position his body was in was just like, this is unreal.
He's like jumping so high and his arms are so long that he's just like snatching the ball out of the air when it shouldn't be possible.
Yeah. I think he's gonna. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about him and his efficiency, a couple weeks ago, and kind of trying to preview his season. And man, I don't know. Like, I still don't know that he's ever going to be like a really skilled player, like offensively, but he's just athletically so gifted that I think he's just going to be able to carve out like hustle points and stuff like that, like in every game he plays.
Yeah, and what's weird is in this game, Missouri's depth felt excellent. Like they were rotating guys in and out well, and just the fact that you're bringing Aiden Shaw and Tamar Bates off the bench to do what they did was impressive. And there was no John Tonje in this game.
Yeah. I guess
I
he's
still am not sure exactly, but there was rumors. I don't know. Maybe Gates talked about it in the press conference, but I just saw rumors that he had been kind of nursing an injury and they didn't want to rush him back and just.
Yeah. Sounds like it won't be too long, but I don't know if he's going to play Friday.
Okay. Go ahead.
Finish your thought.
And Connor Vanover not available because he's suspended for 3 games for playing in some kind of showcase last spring.
That he was approved for?
Yeah. It's like under the assumption, I guess, that he was not returning to school. He participated in this event and whatever. But kind of bizarre.
What do you think about Caleb Brown, 6th man?
Yeah. So 2 things there with the substitutions. Caleb Brown is your first player off the bench, but only plays 11 minutes. And
kind of struggled.
Doesn't give you much, but whatever. I mean, these games against 300 level KenPom teams are where you give guys some run and try to see what they can provide. And then something similar with Anthony Robinson, the first freshman to come into the game, played 14 minutes and not a lot of production.
First game jitters.
Yeah.
That was okay. That was the thing where we were totally off, at least in game 1. And there was even like this pregame report that came out, or I don't even know if you can call it a report. We saw something that was a starting lineup that was not exactly correct. It was like 4 out of the 5 people were right, but it had Trent Pierce as starting, and it just like confirmed all of our biases. Like, we knew it.
Yeah.
We knew
he's going to be incredible.
Yeah, one and done. And then he barely played.
Yeah, 7 minutes. No points. Attempted 1 shot. 1 blocked shot though.
Yeah, so I'm a little I'm not worried, but I'm a little curious what that's going to look like, and kind of some of the preseason stuff we've heard, and his performances in the exhibition games and stuff like that, which are probably just complete and utter throwaway experiences. But as far as the basketball portion of it goes, but a little bit surprised that he just didn't really do anything and didn't really play.
Yeah. Jordan Butler had 5 points in only 5 minutes of action. And Kurt Lewis played 2 minutes super late. So I don't know. I feel like the minutes distribution and everything, like Sean East only played 21 minutes because he fouled out, which is a little bit concerning. The number of fouls in this game for Missouri was off the charts. Pine Bluff shot 31 free throws. So, I mean, I know you've got the bodies that you're not concerned about somebody fouling out, but when...
Yeah, that might just be the strat. Is like, we have the depth, just play as hard as you possibly can, even if that means fouling.
Yeah. Yeah, the only concern is you get in the double bonus with half of the half left.
Yeah. Yeah, that probably wasn't the plan.
But really, I just feel like it's so open-ended on where they go from here. Like the Memphis game on Friday, who knows? Like pencil in Nick Honor, Noah Carter, East, and Grill with their minutes.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to have to consolidate a little bit.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, though. I think we're talking about January before we really know for sure.
Yeah. I am a little concerned about the defense against Memphis. They're a prolific scoring team, and they're really solid. Obviously, we've got it at home, right?
Yes.
So that's good, but, man, I think it's going to be a tight one. Should be. I mean, it sounds like a game that could just be super entertaining.
Yes.
Like, the way these teams play, they're both really aggressive, like a very talented teams. Like, it could be a fun one.
Yeah. Ken Palm has it as an absolute coin flip with Missouri winning by 1 and says they win exactly 50% of the time. I was looking at Memphis's roster, and this is just college basketball, and who knows if this will ever like normalize at all. But Memphis, the top 6 guys in minutes from their game 1 of their season, like you click on any of these guys. David Jones transferred from St. John's after previously transferring from DePaul. Jaquan Walton, we just saw him last year for Wichita State, and he was previously at Georgia. Javon Quinterly is on this Memphis team. Former Villanova player, then spent 3 years at Alabama.
I can't believe he's still in college.
Yeah. Another senior, Jordan Brown, was at Nevada, then Arizona, then Louisiana, now at Memphis. And another senior, Caleb Mills, was at Houston, then Florida State, and now at Memphis. So they've got like 5 or 6 seniors that have all had like more than 2 stops. Like Memphis is their 3rd stop for their final season. That's just crazy. I don't know. It's so wild that you do not know what any of these teams are for such a long time.
That's very true.
Like Missouri has a lot of transfers, had a lot of transfers last year, a lot of new faces. And like, oh, okay, what kind of continuity does Memphis have? Basically 0.
Right. Yeah, I do feel like that was college basketball when I was growing up, and probably long before that also, but it was just like whenever, you would have a freshman come in, they'd play all 4 years, and you would get to know them really well, and the crowds
would stair-step progression of their career.
Yes, like really develop slowly and all that stuff. And yeah, that's definitely not today's college basketball, but it's still an entertaining product. It's still fun in different ways.
Yeah, and I mean, then that just makes it even more special when you do get a guy like Kobe Brown, who does that. It's like kind of a throwback to, like when we were growing up watching college basketball.
Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, Penny Hardaway in his 6th season for Memphis.
That's wild.
Went to the NCAA tournament the last 2 seasons. And after game 1, they are number 1 in fastest adjusted tempo. Last year, through the whole season, they were 22nd in tempo. So we should have a pretty fast-paced game, entertaining, like you said. I think plenty of offense.
Both teams might be scoring 80+.
Yeah. I think just a week ago I said, or 2 weeks ago I said, probably Missouri loses this game.
You did? I said when?
Yeah, we had opposite results on this one, and then like a week from now against Minnesota. But I just think it's fun to have this type of game so early in the season, where you're really going to find out a lot about the team. And so good luck on Friday. Anything else basketball?
Nope.
It's crazy how much more athletic last year's team and this year's team is compared to, previous teams.
Oh my God. It's like a different sport.
Yeah. All right. So the Missouri football team played a game this past Saturday. It's kind of a big deal. Unfortunately, Missouri drops to 7-2 after losing to number 2 Georgia on the road, 30-21. Any thoughts right off the top? Coach Drink was he said there's a lot of hurt men in that locker room in his post-game press conference. And I just served it up to you, and then I just kept talking. So
I don't even know where to start, man. Yeah, I have thoughts. It's disappointing. It is. Like, I feel like I'm simultaneously both. Like, I'm proud of the way they played. I thought they played well. I thought they represented themselves well.
Mm-hmm.
They had to play against one of the most like prestigious programs in the history of the sport, and on the road. And when that team was ready for them, this was not catching them off guard. Like, oh, we're just a little bit better than you thought we were. And nope, this was Georgia prioritized Missouri because this is the game they have to win the East and go to the playoff. Like, this is the biggest game of their season, at least up to this point.
Their Super Bowl, you could say.
It was their Super Bowl. Missouri was Georgia's Super Bowl. And so, but on the other hand, I think Missouri had a chance to win this game. I think they could have won, and it makes me sick.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. And it makes you think, like, there was nothing about the game that made it feel like a fluke that Missouri was where they were, in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and there was nothing about Georgia that made it feel like this is like there's no chance here. And,
Right.
and we knew that coming in.
Yeah.
Georgia's really, really good. They're not unbeatable. And I think Missouri does some things that match up well. And all those things kind of came true, but it did come down to just some turnovers, some penalties, some of those things where, the best teams in the country don't commit mistakes in the pivotal moments. They don't turn the ball over in pivotal moments when they're driving down the field to take the lead in the fourth quarter. Missouri did those things, and that was the difference.
Yeah, we will get back to that moment in just a moment. Looking at the stats real quick, Brady Cook, 14 of 30 passing, 212 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Cody Schrader, though, you nailed it in our preview. Over 100 yards, 22 carries, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Now, as we get into the wide receivers, I think there's a conversation to be had here about the Brady Cook, Luther Burden connection and what worked and what didn't. Theo Weiss, 5 catches for 90 yards, super clutch in some big moments. Mookie Cooper, just 2 catches, but 32 yards and 1 just super important third down conversion. But Luther Burden, you get that first touchdown, incredible throw and catch, deep ball to Burden. He comes down with it, just exactly what we've seen all season from those two.
Yeah.
Then he's pretty quiet the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about how you're going to need your top guys to step up. And it felt like Schrader was stepping up, felt like the offensive line was stepping up, felt like Cook was doing everything he needed to do. But I don't know. And maybe I'm just blinded by how good we've come to expect Luther Burden to be. Felt like there were a couple times where there was a play to be made and he just couldn't quite come up with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did get a little bit dinged up at one point. I don't know if that was affecting him at all, but yeah, he was going up against one of the best secondaries in the country, and like you said, came up with a huge play at the beginning and kind of got shut down after that. And yeah, I mean, there was some plays here and there, and honestly, they probably did enough, to at least be close.
Yeah.
But yeah, we probably do need a little bit more from Luther Burden if we're going to win.
The play that he kind of got shaken up on, or where he was down for a little bit, was the incomplete pass that was very close to a touchdown.
Yeah.
And that's just the kind, I'm not going to sit here and fault him for not making the exceptional play that would have been. But if you're that type of player in that type of moment, that's what you do.
We hold you to different standards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that I'm disappointed by any means. It's just like, oh, that was the one.
Yep.
That was the one to show that, nobody could doubt anything if he goes and gets that touchdown there.
Yeah.
One thing that stood out to me was just like throughout the entire game, we knew the margin for error was going to be so tiny. And there was just moments where it was like, that's the type of thing you can't do. First quarter, Georgia's driving. We hold them. It's 4th and 5. Jump off sides.
Yeah, they went for it on 4th and 5.
Yes. Well, they went for it after we jumped off sides, basically. Who knows if they were going to actually snap the ball there.
Yeah.
But they get a free play, get a first down. Would have been a first down even if they hadn't caught the ball. But let's say even if they do, the play for the defense just gets thrown off when you jump off sides, and everybody in the stadium, everybody watching at home knows it's a free play.
Yeah.
Just changes things. So that was frustrating. That drive still only ended with a field goal. So it's like the defense, I feel like multiple times this year has done something like that, where they make a mistake, let a team extend a drive, but then they kind of cover it up a little bit by holding them to a field goal. But when the margin for error is that slim, you just can't have it. The third down Georgia touchdown to Lovett on the screen was so close to getting batted down at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little bit confused, like why Missouri's corners were playing so far off the wide receivers, and I can't remember if they did that for the whole game, but they were definitely doing that in the beginning, and in that play especially, it was fine. It was like Georgia was just like, all right, we'll just take what you gave us, and we'll just hit this quick pass, and it was easy. Yeah,
the only thing that could have disrupted that was getting a hand on it at the line of scrimmage, which almost happened. When it doesn't, that was just the easiest touchdown ever.
Yeah.
And then if I'm just looking at moments that it feels like we could have had something that changes the game, not getting in field goal range at the end of the first half feels like a little bit of a head scratcher to me.
Yeah, the end of the first half was a little bizarre. I can't remember exactly how it went, but Missouri basically got the ball back with 30, 40 seconds left. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's not a lot of time, and you're probably not going to do anything.
2 timeouts, I believe.
2 timeouts. But their first play of the drive is like a Cody Schrader run, and he gets out of bounds kind of, but the clock doesn't stop.
They call him forward progress stopped before he goes out of bounds.
Right. So coach is really mad, or at least fake mad, on the sidelines, like screaming and cussing and throwing his hat and all this stuff. They don't even call a timeout though. That's what makes no sense to me.
Exactly.
Like, so you call a run play where you know the clock is going to keep going unless you get out of bounds.
And you're apparently just absolutely counting on getting out of bounds.
Yes.
Desperate to get out of bounds.
Desperately want the clock to stop.
Yeah.
So after you're calling a run play, you have 2 timeouts, don't use them. So I'm not really sure.
The clock 20 seconds run off the clock while he's arguing with the ref.
Yeah.
We're getting ready for the next play.
It's the chances of doing anything are obviously dead at that point immediately. So I'm not sure what the plan there was. It was like he wanted to do something, but his action did not support that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The play calling and not calling a timeout did not make sense with how animated he was at not getting the clock stopped there.
Right.
And you have it within your power to stop the clock right now.
Exactly. Or call a pass. So, and there was some weird stuff with the penalties and referees that happened in this game, but that was the thing that he came back to, I think, even after the game.
Yeah.
Was like talking about Cody Schrader getting out of bounds, which I guess he didn't even get out of bounds. Like, I guess his elbow went down in bounds or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. So he was really hung up on that.
Mm. Yeah. It just felt like an opportunity even after that.
Yeah.
Even after it doesn't go quite how you want it, still felt like you could have made a better effort to get in field goal range.
You're playing the 2-time defending national champions on their field. You got to be aggressive there, in my opinion.
Still just kind of nitpicking a little bit here, but the Marquise Johnson fielding that kickoff, that just...
What was that, man?
Coach said that they had him lined up on the 5 instead of the end zone. He didn't really explain why, but he said that's on us, that's on the coaches. Normally we have their heels on the end zone, so if it goes over the head, they let it go. But he was like backtracking into the end zone to go field it. Terrible.
It was. So basically, Missouri starts a drive inside the 5 because he didn't just
let
call
it go over his head
or or whatever. I feel like Missouri's kickoffs were bad when they were kicking the ball to Georgia too. Yeah, they kept kicking it short and like allowing a return, and Georgia was like taking it and getting good returns and stuff.
Yeah,
that was
when we've seen plenty, like almost the entire season. Mevis is just kicking it right through the back of the end zone every single time.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And I believe that Blake Craig is going to get a shot at kickoffs. And what was cited as the reasoning there was just to manage Mevis's workload.
Load management.
Yeah, basically.
Load management for kicking.
Yes.
Man, these kids just got to toughen up these days, What else was I going to say? Oh, okay, we watched this game together. We were talking about this. Why did they do their little beautiful onside kick trick that they are so good at against Memphis.
Yeah.
Why didn't they save that for Georgia or something? Because it sounded like it was something they were really comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
They basically pulled it off against Memphis.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Looked like Mevis could do it 10 times in a row.
Yeah. This felt like a pretty good opportunity for something like that.
Yeah. 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 You'd like to still have that in your bag of tricks and not have that on tape at this point in the season. But, yeah. Yeah, the officiating, though, like both ways, they were struggling a bit.
Yeah, they missed some calls for both teams.
There was a PI on a throw to Luther that was a little sketchy. If it was the other way around, I would have been pretty upset by that one.
Oh, yeah, in Missouri's favor, yeah.
Yeah, and then it basically happened. The PI call on Norwood that was just as bad or even worse, where I was pretty frustrated by that one. But then the biggest game-changing play of the whole game was and I can't even remember what Georgia was doing to set this all up. They were doing some wild stuff.
Yeah, they did some little pitches in the back.
Yeah, it was like a double flea flicker situation. And Carson Beck throws it deep, good 10 yards over the head of the receiver, who looks like he's like blocking. Like
Oscar Delp.
Ah, yes. Delp.
Your boy.
Delp and Missouri defensive back are just like locked up with each other like 50 yards down the field. Nothing happens.
It goes 10 yards over his head.
Yeah. Then it's like upcoming fourth down.
Yeah.
No, actually, no. It's 1st and 10 way down the field.
I've never seen that ever. Like they didn't explain the penalty.
No announcement.
They didn't the referee didn't say who it was on, what the penalty was.
Flag animation didn't come up on the TV.
Animation. Yeah, so basically it was felt like one of the biggest stops of the entire game, and then it was just like nope, first down in the red zone.
Yeah,
for Georgia.
And then there was that whole mess that I truly, as I'm saying this, have no clue what actually was going on when they were reviewing a penalty as something about intentional grounding, something about ineligible man downfield, something offensive pass interference. No idea what was happening there.
I've never seen a penalty get reviewed and overturned. Some people on Twitter were replying to my tweet saying that I guess specifically intentional grounding can be reviewed or something. I don't know.
It's like they were...
But I'm biased and I don't want to think about it.
Yeah. It's like they were trying to see if it was even legal to be calling that penalty.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
You just really don't see that though. Whether it was right or wrong, I don't know how many times I've ever seen that. Probably zero.
Despite all of that, despite all of those little mishaps that could have maybe made it a little bit more manageable on Missouri, in the second half, we're just trading drives back and forth. It's a little hairy for a moment. Missouri only gets a field goal, but Georgia scores a touchdown. But then we flip that. We hold Georgia to a field goal after Missouri scores a touchdown. We're getting the ball back down 7 with 8-ish minutes left in the fourth quarter.
I think it might have been 24-21 at that point.
I'm thinking of 27-21.
Okay. Yes. Yep.
And Missouri, I think Cody Schrader breaks a run to start the drive. We got the ball 1st and 10 around the 50-yard line.
Yes.
And just the worst thing you've ever seen in your life happens, where Brady Cook just tosses it right into the belly of the beast. A Georgia defensive lineman for an interception.
I want to reiterate how much momentum, what this moment was before that. We were driving to take the lead potentially against Georgia.
Missouri's defense doing what they need to do, holding up their end of the bargain to hold Georgia to a field goal.
And let me tell you guys, Cody Schrader gets better as games go on.
Yeah.
He was reaching his full potential. He was becoming
his final form
in this moment. And was already ripping off the runs. We're about to drive to take the lead against Georgia to potentially play for an SEC championship.
Go to the playoff.
Go to Atlanta. Go to the playoff. And Brady Cook throws the worst interception you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
I'm fighting back tears right now, just thinking about it.
Kyle, before you got here, producer Cameron and I were really dissecting that play on replay repeatedly. And one thing that I didn't catch live was how and Coach Drinkwitz talked about this play, obviously, and that it was set up to go to the tight end. There's a little hide the tight end play, which has worked beautifully for Missouri in previous games.
Kind of block for a minute and then just yeah.
And now looking at that play over and over again, first of all, the ball goes right to the defender's midsection.
Yes, it did.
That ball's never getting to Norfleet. I mean, the trajectory of it didn't make any sense. Even if he catches it, he's getting rocked as soon as he catches it. He got rocked without even having the ball. But right over here on the other side of the field is Mekhi Miller, who had they just did a fake handoff to him. There's one defender that looks like they are even interested in him at all. You see that defender get out of there. Mekhi Miller's on the other side of the field. Nobody around him. 20 yards of turf in front of him. So if you want to feel even worse about that situation, go back and watch that play a few times.
Had to kick me when I was down.
Yeah. So
I'm afraid that play will haunt me for the rest of my life.
Honestly, I would take that. I hope it haunts you and not Brady Cook.
I will take on the demon for Brady Cook.
That's very big of you. And yeah, hopefully he doesn't even need that, but that's the type of play that could stick with you.
That was a program-changing play. And I hate that it just like happened to Brady Cook because he has had such a great season and really made all of us look so stupid for all the things that we've said.
Yes.
In the offseason and doubting him. And then he just kind of threw it all away right there. But that's okay. We don't want to pin it on one moment.
No.
But man, that was really painful.
That's part of the reason I wanted to mention all those other moments.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, there was one other. I mean, you mentioned like an almost big play. I feel like there was a big play. When was it when Mookie Cooper got the big catch that put us in the red zone?
Yeah,
it was basically the next play or soon after that where Brady Cook got sacked on third down.
Yes.
Well, there was like Theo Weiss.
Of the field,
Georgia
wide
blitzed,
open.
Georgia blitzed, and we just weren't ready for it. And Theo Weiss was just running across the middle of the field.
Yeah, from the TV view.
I'm sure there was somebody there.
No. From the TV view, Cook's eyes never leave that far sideline.
Yeah,
basically.
he was looking to the left side, and yeah.
Oh man.
So yeah, there was a few like near misses, but I mean, obviously, we're asking for perfection here, so that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's just wild to like know that's what going in. It's like you're basically gonna have to play a perfect game and hope Georgia makes a couple mistakes.
Yeah.
Well, Georgia. I don't know. I think people were too low on Georgia's performance because, like, I don't think they did anything egregious to, like, let Missouri hang around more than it looked like Missouri deserved to hang around.
Yeah. Yeah, I legitimately think it was just two good teams battling, and Georgia was a little bit better, and, you know, we thought that was probably going to be the case, most likely.
Yeah, and you look at Carson Beck, and he just plays I mean,
you're gonna say game manager,
sort of.
He's a little more. He's a game manager plus.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's all they need him to do.
Yeah,
and they have really figured something out, and I think it is a little bit of the Nick Saban model from, the
AJ McCarron years.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like, we are elite at so many positions. We
Everywhere.
just need you to come in and not lose the game.
Yep.
And that's what Stetson Bennett did for 2 championship runs.
Yep.
And if Carson Beck is locked into that mindset, like it seemed like he was on Saturday.
We have 5-star players everywhere.
Yeah. So please just don't turn the ball over. And he did just like every little thing. Like Missouri's defense, credit to Missouri's defense for getting to him a few times. Mm-hmm. I mean, they made it clear on the broadcast he had only been sacked 6 times coming into this game. And Missouri put a dent in that number. But he was just good enough, and the offensive line for Georgia was just good enough to where, like, early on, 3rd and 8, picks it up with his legs, gets out of the pocket, gets another first down later in the game on, like, 3rd and 3, and never throws an interception. And just felt like the whole game. It was like Georgia's going to turn the ball over. Like this has to happen.
They have
at some
to make
point.
a mistake.
It just never quite happened.
No. Okay, I got to ask you about the Connor Tollison snapping issue. What is even happening there? Like, it's probably, I'm starting to get like PTSD about it, like on every snap, where I'm just like, don't snap it until he's ready. Don't snap it until he's ready. I'm like thinking that in my head, like every play now, because it's happened 4 or 5 times this season where Brady's not ready for the snap.
Yeah.
And it gets snapped to him, and sometimes he catches it, and sometimes he doesn't. To get a fall on it or whatever.
Yeah. In this game in particular, it was wild. The last Missouri drive after the interception, where like a 3rd and 14 or something, or 4th and long, there was like twice where the snap comes early, Brady's surprised by it, still catches it, and then just throws it up to Weiss, who gets a first down.
Yeah, that was like their go-to play there at the end of the game.
That entire series felt so frantic and just, I mean, it was still a 2-score game at that point, but
I know you've never played center before, but I mean, what? I don't even, how does that even happen? Like Connor Tollison's just sitting there and he's like, I think it'll just do it now.
Yeah. It's like, it's about time.
Yeah.
It's about that time. I'll just send it back.
Yeah. It's probably been waiting long enough.
I honestly have no idea what's going on there. I mean, obviously the crowd noise and everything is factoring into that, but there's obviously a signal that you should be waiting for to snap the ball. I know like Georgia's defense doing that shifting and everything was causing issues.
Outlaw it.
In my book, that's as disconcerting a signal as you have.
Seriously, that's way more disconcerting than clapping.
Yeah. Oh, man. And I think it actually messed up Georgia's defensive line a couple times where we got a nice little run because they were like out of position.
Yeah, we snapped the ball while they were doing the shift.
Yeah. Back to Connor Tollison, though. Honestly, I was thinking about
this. He's had a good season.
Yes.
Outside of that.
He's a sophomore. And it's not like he has the yips where it's like all of a sudden he can't do it, you know? I feel like sometimes an athlete has a breakdown mentally where it's like all of a sudden they can't do the one thing they're out there to do.
Yeah.
And you got to like get some psychology going on. But I don't think that's the case with him. I think he's just young.
Psychology for that young man.
Yeah. I mean, I know the athletic department is keeping up on that kind of stuff. But I feel like he's just young, and you just
it just seems like an incredibly fixable thing, man. Like it's happened multiple times before this game where I feel like you would just have to be like working on that every day.
Yeah.
Like it's so in the most pivotal moments where the crowd's like loud and
it's probably a little bit of a confidence thing. It's a little bit of a just not quite having the reps in that you need. Now, maybe I'm sugarcoating a little bit, but the way I see it playing out in my head is next year and the year after, we're going, hey, remember when he was doing that? He has really come a long way, and we always knew he was good, but he just had these, mental lapses from time to time. He's shored that up, and now as a junior and senior, he's all conference type player.
It just is, it seems like there's a lot going on pre-snap, and that's to Brady Cook's credit or the coach's credit. Mm-hmm. They're calling stuff on the fly a lot of times. They're seeing what the defense is giving them. They're calling in audibles. They're kind of changing on the fly, and sometimes I'm wondering if he's getting a little confused or something.
Well, there was one play in particular where they came out in a formation, looked over to the sideline, completely changed the formation.
I think that was maybe that Mookie Cooper catch.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was wide open. Yeah. They had exactly what they wanted there. So, yeah, I like what they do on offense of like getting up to the ball. The coaching staff is upstairs, seeing what the defense is giving you, and then relaying signals. I mean, it's seems like a fairly complicated way to do things, but
it's working.
Yeah. Was there anybody? I mean, Schrader obviously we're impressed with. The offensive line in general, outside of a couple mistakes, played quite well, I think. The defense, there was good tackling. I mean, Georgia's offensive playmakers are very good.
Yeah.
And especially those two running backs. And I feel like Missouri's defense did a good job of sort of hemming them in and not let them just run wild.
Yeah, I mean, personnel-wise, I think everybody played pretty well for the most part. So would have loved to see what happens in another universe if that interception doesn't get thrown, but we'll never know.
Love to know There's 2 times now this season where we would love to know what happens if they just line up and hand the ball to Schrader one more time.
Yeah.
Just changes everything.
Yeah. You're talking about the LSU game?
Yeah.
Is the other time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, no, I obviously, all the coaching staff just wishes they could rewind to that moment and just call any other play. Just hand the ball off, and then the play you want to run, maybe you do it next. But,
Yeah.
just rewrite history there a little bit. So Missouri, like I said, 7-2, 3-2 in SEC play. And now here comes the Tennessee Volunteers. Is it number 14 Mizzou, 7-2, 3-2, versus number 13 Tennessee, exact same record. And I don't know if you know this, but Tennessee has beat Missouri 4 times in a row.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and a couple of those have been ugly.
Man, what was it Barry Odom's last season that Tennessee ran for like 700 yards against us? There was one of those games, I don't know, it's been a few years now, where the Tennessee players, like in their like pregame stuff, were specifically saying like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have a fun day on Saturday."
Yeah,
like the most disrespectful thing you've ever heard,
yes.
And then they just
absolutely call their shot.
Yes, just absolutely back it up with the greatest performance ever.
I don't remember what year that was. Feels like it was too soon.
Yeah. Well, just think about where we are now.
Yeah,
and just be happy we're not there anymore. Whenever that was.
Yeah, but they've looked good against Missouri in recent years too. These teams are very similar. I mean, it's like they both, Missouri and Tennessee this year, it's like they're on the cusp of basically doing what Tennessee did last year. Like, I feel like Missouri and Tennessee, that's where you need to be. And I don't know, just two very similar teams, and just like the way they've played this so far this year, like winning some big matchups, but then just falling short in the sort of season-defining games. Tennessee lost their first SEC game of the season at Florida, 29-16. Since then, they beat South Carolina 41-20, beat A&M 20-13, lost at Alabama 34-20. Of course, that was the big one for them last year, finally beating Alabama. And they won at Kentucky 33-27. And that game, it might be the one that I'm most interested in, because they're going on the road, coming to Como, and Kentucky scores 27 against this pretty good Tennessee defense and loses. And that feels like the game right there. Like, if
the
Missouri,
most, like, comparable game.
Yeah, if Missouri scores 30, this has to be a win, I think. If we're looking at like 29 to 26 points, I feel like it's a toss-up.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel like these teams are very evenly matched. And Joe Milton's very capable. He's been really efficient this year. 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So he definitely, I think, over 2,000 yards passing, and he's mobile too. So he's a big guy.
Yeah.
I think I saw he was 6'5", 230.
Yeah.
So dude is...
And he's not the most accurate passer, but he can throw it a mile. And the way that their running backs and offensive line get things done on the ground, it sort of just opens up those shots down the field.
Yeah.
And
he's not Hendon Hooker.
No.
This team is not what they were last year.
No.
But they're still really solid, and they're good everywhere. I mean, honestly, they are pretty comparable to Missouri, like you said. Just really well balanced. They're solid everywhere.
Their running backs are kind of just, they have got this three-headed monster of a running back room that is pretty elite, starting with Jalen Wright, who on just 110 carries has over 800 yards rushing. That's 7.5 yards per carry, which is just insane. And he's super fast. Like, he will run away from you in the open field. His longest touchdown this season is 82 yards. And that can, against good teams even, that can just happen at any point.
Yeah.
He can just take one to the house.
Yeah, you can't fall asleep at all. I don't know. They have so many ways to beat you on offense. So you're going to have to be awake every play.
Not as stacked of a wide receiver room for them this year compared to last year. Squirrel White, their leading receiver, 45 catches, over 550 yards. And it's like they're just going to chip away at you in the running game. Stick with it, maybe break a run, and then every once in a while they'll take a deep shot. And it's like a lot of games this year I've kind of said against Missouri's defense, when South Carolina hands the ball off, even when Georgia hands the ball off, that's a gift. And I feel like it's the opposite with Tennessee.
Yeah.
When Milton drops back to pass and doesn't hand the ball off, that's a gift. Because I feel like, honestly, like Tennessee has a better chance of getting a first down on the ground than they do with him throwing the ball 30 times.
Yeah, that's what I'm most afraid of, definitely, is the run game. Just like chipping away 6 yards at a time. I definitely think Tennessee could do that, and if they're able to get ahead early in the game, they can definitely control the pace.
Tennessee's defense is 10th in the country in stopping third and short. Just a random stat that I thought was interesting.
Just get it on second down.
Yeah, exactly. I do feel like there's opportunity for Missouri's offense to make some big plays. It seems like just like every single game, bend but don't break is like what everybody's going for.
In college football, definitely.
Yeah. And it's just like play the safest kind of defense that you can to just keep everything in front of you.
Just get everything down to the red zone where everything's like condensed into a shorter field, and then we'll play our best defense there.
Exactly. And condense the field, give the quarterback a chance to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Tennessee, I feel like they are even more. I feel like they have extremes on their defense where it's like, we're going to go 3 and out, or we're going to score. Missouri's offense going to go 3 and out or score in 5 plays or less.
Yeah. That's
kind of what I'm envisioning for this game. Tennessee has a pretty decent pass rush, but I just feel like it's going to be, that's kind of like strength versus strength, Missouri's offense versus Tennessee's defense. And I don't know. I think it's going to make for an interesting matchup.
Yeah.
And defensively, Missouri has to be getting these running backs on the ground.
Yeah.
And I just am envisioning broken tackles, missed tackles, 7-yard runs turning into 15, 15 turning into 40.
Yeah. Yeah, I still feel like this is, Coach Drinkwitz talked about, even before the Georgia game, if we lose against Georgia, there's still going to be, so much to play for. And I don't know. I feel like this is just a massive matchup still, where it feels overshadowed by the game we just played. And yes, we're not going to win the East. I think we're basically out of playoff contention. We're out of SEC championship contention, but this is still a huge game as a measuring stick as a program, and getting the monkey off your back of losing 4 straight to Tennessee. Tennessee's been a really, really good program for the last few years, as much as I hate to admit it. They had some dark ages for a little while there, but
that was nice.
That was really nice. But they have never had trouble, getting talent in that program. They have all the resources they need to be good and stay good. So I think this is a huge matchup, and I would love to see us win this one.
Yeah, and I feel like the pessimist in me is kind of like, oh, this is the type of game where if you lose this as Missouri, then it's like, oh, well, even if they had beat Georgia, that didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Which was always true, but just sort of the narrative in the college football landscape is like, oh, Missouri wasn't for real.
Right.
Sure, they played Georgia close, but how funny would that have been for them to knock off Georgia and then just turn around and lose to Tennessee at home?
Yeah. I'm afraid that if we do lose this game, it will taint the rest of what we have done this season. And I think we've got a chance to get to 10 wins, and that's a big deal. And I still think that Missouri has a chance to get to New Year's Six Bowl. All that stuff is still in play, but you gotta win this one. And I don't know. I'm afraid of that narrative for sure. That maybe we weren't actually that good. Maybe we still have questions about Brady Cook. Maybe we have questions about Eli Drinkwitz. I don't want to play that game this offseason.
No.
I'm so ready to move on from that. If we win this game, I think that stuff's for sure is behind us.
Shuts the door on all of that.
Yep.
Even losing this game, I don't feel like it has to creep back in, but it does open the door for it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm thinking about this game scared. I don't want to be, but
last week we were like,
yeah, that's just
let's
that
go.
nothing to lose sort of mentality.
Yeah, it feels like the margin for error is just on the season as a whole. What we determine as a success or failure is kind of riding on this game a little bit.
Yeah, you don't want to be looking back and going, oh, well, we peaked at the Kentucky game.
Right.
Oh. It's like I'm talking about it so scared, and then I'm trying to get myself to predict a win.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like,
I'm always going to predict a win here.
In a weird way, man. Like, I don't know. It's like thinking about Tennessee. This is going to sound really strange, but hopefully it makes sense. But like, I'm almost more afraid of Tennessee than I was of Georgia, just because they're so solid, and I know what Joe Milton's capable of. Like, I'm like somehow more afraid of him than I was of Carson Beck.
Yeah, it almost feels like there's more just like variance in Tennessee's style of play,
100%.
where just everything seems more unpredictable.
Yeah,
where it's like you kind of just know Georgia's going to go out there and kind of just look like an NFL offense with worse players a little bit, and Tennessee is like they're going to be this high flying, crazy looking college offense. It's it is in my mind.
Yeah, Tennessee might just come out and blow us out, and like. It wouldn't shock me, even if, we might be the better team on most days. So, I don't know.
Feels too negative.
It feels too negative, but I do think Missouri's going to win. I do think Missouri's going to win. I think we just outlined how this game could go wrong, but I still think Missouri is the better team, and it's close. I think, it's a coin flip. But
Tennessee still plays Georgia this year.
That's true.
So I wish that game had come before, so we just like have a little bit better idea how everything lines up here.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a little bit of back and forth here, and I'm just gonna say the exact same prediction that I said for Georgia last week, which I believe was 34-31 Missouri.
That sounds about right. I think it's gonna be just a little bit lower scoring, so I'm gonna go with Missouri. 29-26.
All right.
Exactly the score I predicted last week.
That might be a scoregami. Imagine you predicting a scoregami.
I think I did once. I would have.
You're kidding me.
I think that one time when I predicted one of the teams to score 19, that could have been a scoregami. I forgot about scoregami.
Yeah. I think I've only seen it for NFL though.
Yeah. There's probably none left in college. Too many games.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting a win. Bouncing back. Offense bounces back. We've been needing to put up some numbers. We need to get Luther Burden going.
Gotta get that monkey off our back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
that's the
feeling about it is like, okay, lost a game. How do we respond?
Yeah.
Could this, spiral? Can we get it back together?
Yep.
If we were playing, if the schedule went Georgia, Florida, Arkansas, Tennessee, I feel like I would feel better that we could just win out. I don't know. Feels like
something about this game being right after the Georgia loss.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope the guys can get up for it and aren't still too dejected from last week. But we're predicting a win, and it's another sellout. And let's just that should be the standard from now on.
I agree.
We sell out home games, no questions asked. It doesn't even matter if Kansas State's coming to town. We sell out.
I'm with you.
Kansas State fans were really patting themselves on the back.
They said it was all them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were spinning a narrative.
Yeah, you got to do that sometimes. I don't blame them. You ready to pick the rest of these games?
I'm ready.
Producer Cameron, how did we do last week? I know I did terrible because I, for some reason, picked Vanderbilt to beat Auburn.
To put your faith in Vanderbilt.
Wow.
I might have to do it again to catch back up.
Well, you got an opportunity. Last week,
where's that music?
I don't know. I'm slacking today. Really got to get you in the mood for it, huh?
There you go. I'm feeling it now.
All right, last week, Cam had 3 points. Kyle had 5. I had 3. The guest pickers had 4.
Let's go.
Bringing our season totals to Cam has 54. I have 57. Kyle and the guest pickers are tied at 58.
Oh,
still
it's
anybody's
a whole
game.
New game.
Anybody's game. Our guest picker this week is Britt.
Hey, welcome in.
Welcome in. Game 1, number 8 Alabama at Kentucky. Alabama is a 10.5-point favorite.
Alabama easy.
I think so.
Yep, Alabama all around. Next up is Vanderbilt at South Carolina. South Carolina is a 13.5-point favorite.
If this game was at Vandy,
Oh, you're taking them all day, huh?
yeah, but not.
Not today.
13-point
That seems
Favorites?
high.
South Carolina almost
South-
lost to Jacksonville State.
Jacksonville
Yeah.
State.
Uh,
That is disrespectful.
that game was Gamecocks versus Gamecocks.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
What does balderdash mean?
I think like nonsense.
Okay, this is complete balderdash. This 13.5-point line.
You saying that just made me think of this random thing, but Cody Schrader is a semifinalist for the Bullsworth Trophy.
Bullsworth.
I
Okay.
think that was it. I think that was the name.
Is that a real thing or is that some?
I didn't make it up.
Okay.
But some Cody Schrader winning the Bullsworth Trophy just feels right, doesn't it?
Yeah. What is it?
Some kind of college football award.
For what?
Probably being a running back. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, sure. Yeah. He's
Being
really
the
good at
most
that.
Bullsworthy.
Just bowls over people.
Yeah, Balderdash Bullsworth. That's how I got there.
Okay.
All right, what's your pick?
South Carolina.
Yeah. South Carolina.
South Carolina all around.
Vanderbilt to cover.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
13. That's just disrespectful.
Yeah.
Our first close one, Auburn at Arkansas. Arkansas is a 2.5-point favorite.
Arkansas beat Florida in
Yeah.
overtime.
Florida's doesn't make sense.
Please just let both of those teams actually be bad. I got to go with Arkansas.
Arkansas's favorite.
Yep.
I got to go with Florida.
Florida. There he
Florida.
played.
You just made that up.
Who's Arkansas playing?
Got Bullsworth on
Auburn.
the mind.
Auburn.
They already beat them.
The game is Auburn
Auburn.
versus Arkansas.
At Arkansas. Arkansas is a 2.5-point favorite.
Give me Auburn.
I'll take Auburn.
I'll take Auburn. Britt takes Arkansas.
I'm switching to Arkansas.
Go ahead.
I
Kyle.
hate picking them.
Kyle, you good?
You switching?
Oh yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I
right.
thought I was doing something embarrassing or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
What's new?
yeah.
Battle of the top 10 teams. Ole Miss, number 9 Ole Miss at number 2 Georgia. Georgia is a 10.5-point favorite.
I'd like to think Ole Miss could do it.
Missouri covered.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to think Ole Miss can do it.
But
Go ahead.
But
I'll take Georgia.
Me too. So does Britt.
that would be pretty legendary.
Be a big move for you.
Yeah.
Separate yourself from the pack.
I'm
Oh,
already.
yeah.
I'm in the lead though.
Tied though. For
I
the
gotta
lead.
defend the
Yeah, yeah.
lead.
If you just pick everything Britt does, you're not going to be able to separate from them.
Yeah.
Are we
It's
already
playing scared.
We already differentiated on
Mm.
Arkansas game.
Mm.
I'll go Georgia.
Bunker mentality.
Boo.
Okay, you guys all pick Georgia.
Next up is Florida at number 19 LSU. LSU is a 14-point favorite.
LSU by a million.
LSU for me.
LSU.
LSU all around.
Okay.
You guys all believed in LSU last week and they let you down.
Yeah.
I guess Alabama squad, they're pretty
I
good.
guess they're legit.
I guess they're
Something.
They're not on Missouri's schedule. I don't know much about them.
We're gonna see Alabama at Georgia for the SEC championship, most likely, right?
Yeah.
Again.
And once again, we will see that that Missouri gives Georgia the best game they've had all season.
Wow,
That's what I'm saying.
that's
Well,
take.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mississippi State at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is an 18.5-point favorite.
Is Mississippi State the worst offense you've ever watched?
Oof, it's bad. Texas
Who
A&M.
was their coach?
You know,
I was watching them against Arkansas like 2
Yeah.
weeks ago, and I was like, I've never seen this man in my life.
no.
I don't recognize him. I
No.
don't know what his name is. He
No.
looked like this random guy on the sidelines.
Yeah.
And how is that possible that I would like? I feel like Mississippi State is the most random team
They are pretty random.
Like I don't know anything about them.
Remember when Dak Prescott was there?
I do remember
and they
that.
beat Alabama, I think.
Yeah, I think they did.
Wow.
They beat us too.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll take whoever they're playing against.
Yeah, Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
Yep.
18.5 is a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if,
They won't score more than 7
yeah. Texas A&M is going to win 20-3.
and cover. Well, that would
24-3.
There we go.
21-3.
I say 23. Don't cover.
Don't cover it. All right, last but certainly least, Maryland, the state of Maryland at Nebraska. Maryland is a 2.5-point favorite. Give me Nebraska.
Cam, I really thought Nebraska was turning a corner.
I
And then
didn't.
they lost to Michigan State
Yeah.
last week, and we all picked
you
Michigan
can't-
State. We all picked Nebraska.
You can't lose to Michigan State. The people are talking about Nebraska being ranked.
Ew.
Okay, I don't think they turned a corner that much. Ew. He's like literally a fan of the team. Ew.
That just wouldn't look right.
No.
Give me.
Who did you pick? You picked Nebraska, Cam?
I'll
Oh,
take
yeah.
Nebraska. Underdog at home. I'll take them.
Isn't Maryland's quarterback like
Good.
Tua Tagovailoa's brother?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, he's probably pretty good.
Probably.
I'll take Maryland.
That's
All right.
probably the correct decision.
Britt
I
takes Maryland.
I hope it is.
See you on the gridiron.
Oh, this is gonna be a fun week.
Oh, yeah. See you on the gridiron. Good luck.
You got a little splash there.
I splashed myself on the face. Yeah.
It's like glasses are like covered in water.
Yeah.
You were just gonna roll with it unless I said something. So I apologize.
It's okay. Are we done here?
I hope so.
Sure.
Special thank you to our Patreon supporters at the $10 level and above. Britt, Treese, Brian Smith, Ryan Diemore, Tristan, Ben Smith, Parker, Daddy, JD, Tim Keens, Tyler Harsel, Brandon Garofalo, Brandon Hanks, Matthew Tilley, Luis Hernandez, and producer Cam Fan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. We love you very much. You can find this podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod.
Slacking.
And you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
You can find our t-shirts and stickers on our online shop. MissouriSportsPod.BigCartel.com.
Thank you everyone for listening. We will see you next week after a win.